Hello, my amazing artist, and welcome back to Art While Apart with me, Miss H. This week, we are actually going to go back and review something that we learned at the beginning of the school year. It's been a long time, so we're going to go over the parts of a landscape in this week's lesson, and then next week, I will show you how to create your very own version of a landscape. So, to begin, let's look at the parts of a landscape. We have the foreground, the middle ground, and the background. Well, the foreground in a scene or artwork is the part that seems near or closer to you, and it's always at the bottom of the page. Behind that, we have the midground or the middle ground, and that's the part of an artwork that appears to be between the objects in the foreground and the objects that are in the background. So middle ground, it's right in the middle. And then the background, that's the part of an artwork that appears to be in the distance or behind other objects. The background is also higher up on the page, and that's what also makes it appear to be further away in space. So quick review, if I'm looking down here at the bottom of the page, it's closest to the viewer. That is called the foreground. I like to think foreground, front. It's in the very front, so it's the foreground. All right, moving up our page a little behind the foreground, that's the midground. Good, it's in the middle, so midground. And then we have this line here. Now this blue line, there's a name for it. And this line separates the ground or the earth, so the ground or the earth, from the sky, normally in a landscape. That line is called the horizon line. And we call it the horizon line because that's where we can start to see when the sun rises or when the sun sets. The horizon line separates the ground or the earth from the sky, what we see. All right, now behind the horizon line, it's the very back of a landscape. That is called the background. Exactly. Okay, now I'm actually going to go away for a second, but keep watching this. And as I go to this next slide, I'm going to play this video here of me being silly, but I want you to really pay attention to when I'm close to the camera, what do you notice? And then when I'm far from the camera, what do you notice? So think about my size and where I am in space. Okay, let's watch. Okay, I'm back. Hopefully you noticed that when I was really close to the camera, I looked really big. But as I moved farther away, I looked smaller. Now, I didn't actually shrink. I didn't actually grow in size. It's just the location of where I was made it appear like I was different sizes. So if you are closer to the front, you're going to appear bigger. If you're closer to the background and you are far away, you're going to appear smaller. That is how location and size can create the illusion of space. All right, now before we move on, one other thing. Speaking of location and size, let's look at this man here. And I want you to think of how the man changes based on his location. So if we're looking at the foreground, where is this man? Is he low on the page or is he high on the page? Yeah, he's really low on the page. So he's low on the page and look at his size. He's pretty big, right? Okay, now as he moves backwards to the midground, he's getting smaller and he's also getting higher on the page. We have this line. Remember the line? It separates the ground or the earth from the sky. That's called your horizon line. And look at our friend here. He has now gotten smaller. He's gotten higher on the page again, and that's because he is in the background. All right, so thanks for reviewing that with me. In my next slide, I'm going to show you some ways to take some notes on the parts of the landscape. These are called sketch notes. Sketch notes help us remember different concepts in art. So you need to grab a piece of paper, pencil, and then if you have any markers or colored pencils, that would be great too. You're going to take some sketch notes, and then once you're done with that, your challenge is to create your own landscape. This can look any way that you want. You can have your landscape realistic, you can have it more abstract. It's totally up to you. So, first thing, you're going to take sketch notes, and then your challenge is to create your very own free choice landscape. That means you get to choose what it's going to look like. All right, friends, go ahead, hop onto my next video. Make sure you have a piece of paper and something to write with so that you can take your sketch notes. Okay, I hope that you have fun, take chances, and stay curious.